So around the end of September, early October of last year, I started to feel myself slowly fall into an unexplained sadness. And because I was aware of the signs, I made a decision to be proactive with setting myself up for a joyful autumn and winter. My dad always says prevention is better than cure. So I asked myself, how can I prevent myself from falling deeper? What does my mind, body, and spirit need to thrive? So I put together a list of healthy and intentional habits, activities, and practices that have helped me ease seasonal depression and truly enjoy the present moment. Hey, my loves, I hope that you are all having a lovely Monday. It is currently Sunday night, and I have been trying to put together this video for so many months that I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to record it podcast style, because if I don't, I will never do it. I've been doing a lot of home renovations and things like that. So it's like lighting is kind of, do you know when you're trying to find the perfect lighting to record your video, but the lighting is failing you? My concealer was not concealing. My eyes were just doing too much. I said, you know what? No. Now I know that spring is literally around the corner, and okay, even though the winter months are coming to an end, well, depending on where you live, there seems to be a misconception that seasonal depression can only be experienced in the colder, more gloomier months, but it can actually be in the spring or the summer too. So even though I'm going to be focusing mainly on my experiences throughout the fall, it can definitely be applied all year round. So I'm going to get started by just sharing like what is seasonal depression, because sometimes we don't even know what it means or like what it is. Like we just know that we feel off. So seasonal depression, which is also called seasonal affective disorder, SAD. It's a type of depression that is related to the change in seasons. SAD begins and ends at about the same time every year. If you're like most people with SAD, your symptoms start in the fall and continue into the winter months, sapping your energy and making you feel moody. These symptoms often resolve during the spring and summer months. And symptoms can be as simple as oversleeping, appetite changes, weight gain, tiredness or low energy, hopelessness, like life might just feel too heavy and too much of a burden to carry. One thing that I will say is if you find yourself in a space that you're like, life is just really weighing me down, I would definitely say please seek professional advice. Please see a therapist if you can. Speak to a family member, speak to a friend. Whatever you do, just don't suffer in silence. So I'm going to get started by just kind of talking to you about how I've been feeling. So typically around the same time every year, it is like the end of September, I start just feeling a little lower, definitely to do with the change in weather, the seasons, and it's not as if I'm like crazy in love with summer, because I actually do love the winter. Like I definitely love my winter fashion. I'm a London girl through and through. I do love a nice trench coat, my boots. Like I am a winter girl through and through. And because of that, it sometimes makes me feel like, why am I even feeling sad? And I think that it can sometimes just be coming down from a high. Like we have a exciting summer for the most part, like the sun's out, like we're out with friends, and sometimes we get I'm into the fall and things begin to wind down, and it can sometimes feel just like life just starts crashing down on us, and we have to start maybe facing the things that we weren't facing in the summer months. A few interesting things that I kind of like learned about seasonal depression. So for the most part, the specific causes remain unknown. What we do know is the decrease in sunlight can disrupt your body's internal clock. It can also cause the serotonin levels in your brain to drop, which is a chemical, which is actually a neurotransmitter that affects mood. So I kind of already knew this, but I didn't know how to correctly articulate it. So like the more I've been reading up on seasonal depression, it just kind of like made me think, wow, like this is really not just so like one thing I know for me, especially like growing up in church, sometimes we think that everything is a spiritual attack. Let's be honest, like everything's spiritual, and to an extent spirit makes a difference, right? But at the same time, some things are literally chemical. Everything is not a spiritual, someone's out to get me. Why am I suffering? Lord, help me. It can literally be a chemical change. And that's something that we should also pay attention to. Now, what you can do is use your spiritual tools to combat the chemical change. So another thing, the change in season can also disrupt the balance of the body's level of melatonin, which plays a role in sleep patterns and mood. So if you find yourself sometimes struggling to sleep and you're just like, what's going on? It can literally be melatonin, like your levels might be off. So, yeah, it's just insane. Like, there's just so much to think about. So first I wanted to talk about the weather change. And this is one of those videos that if you are kind of entering the spring and you're like, do you know what, Shandy's, to be honest, I'm feeling pretty good now. This is one of those videos that you can literally watch later, save it for a rainy day. If you just want to come back to it, that's fine. Or you might just want to come along for the ride with me right now and kind of like have these thoughts in mind so that when the winter does approach again, you can kind of come up with your own strategy to, you know, not fall so deep into a seasonal depression. So the one thing I had to do was I had to start by asking myself, what do you need to thrive in this season? So one thing that's so important for us to be aware of is that nothing stays the same. And we can get so used to sameness that when things do change, it can be such a difficult adjustment. And one thing that I'm learning is that we have to be prepared to allow the old leaves to fall. Seasons change in the sense that when you think about the change from summer to autumn and you're seeing all these leaves fall and the tree looks so bare. And in the seasons that we are bare, it can feel so uncomfortable. And sometimes our first thought is, I need to cover myself with something else. And what I think is such a beautiful thing is when we allow ourselves to just embrace the absence of leaves, right? That is literally a metaphor for so many things. Sometimes we have to embrace the absence of relationships that are no longer. Sometimes we have to embrace the absence of the life that we thought we were going to live. Sometimes we have to embrace the absence of things being how they've always been and just allow ourselves to sit in that bareness and trust that if we can learn from what this season is trying to show us, that when spring comes around again, new leaves will blossom and we'll be ready to take on the next season. So a few ways that you can do this is make a winter joys list. So yes, winter is basically no longer, but you can literally just make a joys list, something that you can go back to whenever you're feeling a little low. What are your go-to practices that are going to help to elevate your mood? Maybe like typically you might stay in bed longer and you might be in bed dehydrated. Darling, keep that bottle of water at your bedside because you cannot be sad and dehydrated. That is not the mood. Like, you need to hydrate your life, So little things like that. What is going to be your joy list that is just going to help to boost your mood? Like just thinking about those little things that you can do to just bring a little bit more joy to your day to day. And health is definitely something that can bring you some joy, like having some breakfast in the morning. Like I've been so intentional about what I put in my body, drinking more water, making myself a healthy, delicious breakfast. I've definitely been switching it up from like my oats, making my little avocado toast, my smoothies, just doing it all and trying new things. And I'm going back to like what I was saying about the leaves that like fall from us. When we take the time to really look at them, we are giving ourselves time to not repeat cycles and not recreate them, because if we just feel the need to cover ourselves with something else, we might find ourselves falling back into those same relationships, environments, mindsets, and beliefs. Basically, you have to embrace the discomfort that comes with being bare, with being naked, so that you can start rebuilding something that is meaningful for the season ahead. So another thing that has been so helpful for me is filling my space with life. I love plants. I love plant shopping. I would say, so I probably bought around like 7 to 10 new plants. and about 6 of them are still alive. So I feel good about that. I'm trying. It's such a struggle. But filling my space with life, it really does make a difference for me. So that's something that I have been really intentional about doing more. I have been organizing my space. My husband and I bought our first home last fall, and it has really been a process and a journey of me just realizing, for one, I cannot do everything at once. We plan on being here for a little while. So it's like, I don't have to decorate every room tomorrow. I can take my time and organize my space. So I'm just kind of trying to create a home that is hibernation worthy. Let's say that. So like when it is those colder months, or like when it is the time that I want to be indoors more, I am in a space that is going to make me smile. I am in a space where I feel welcome. I'm not in a space that is cluttered, that is dirty, that is just not reflective of who I am as a person. So another thing I want to add, because I'm with the winter change and like thinking about those like lazy days, or like staying in bed, or like not getting dressed as much, or things like that. Something I will say is make sure water touches your body, because I think about in the Bible and the references around water, and water truly being life, like the living water. I think about that and how powerful it is to literally have a shower in the morning, and how beautiful it is to even have water where you can have a shower or have a bath and just allow water to touch your skin. I think it like awakens us in I don't know, well, for me personally, I feel as if it like awakens me in a sense that like it reminds me you are alive and nothing is that bad. That's kind of like my reminder sometimes, just making sure that water touches my skin and that I'm washing my face, I'm washing my body. It makes such a difference. And another thing for me would be therapy. My therapist is always reminding me of the importance of listening to my body and not fighting rest. And also being in sync with the seasons, of thinking about some seasons are for blooming, some are for shedding, some are for uprooting the weeds. And sometimes we try to force things instead of just really being present in the lives that we are living, and not comparing ourselves to someone else. So just because someone else might be in their blooming season, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are, but it doesn't mean that you're dying. Do you know what I mean? It can literally mean that you're in a season of rest, or you're in a season of enjoying the fruit. I've really been more intentional about taking time out to enjoy the fruit, because it's if you don't enjoy the fruit is going to spoil. And then before you know it, you're going to be crying about how hungry you are, when you could have allowed yourself to be fueled by that fruit and then start building and creating for the next season. So that's something that I will definitely say, therapy has really made a difference in my life, especially for this season, where I've done a lot of mourning. I've been mourning relationships that are no longer, which has been painful for me, but necessary, because I realize because I'm no longer who I once was. And just being able to make peace with those changes, and also make peace from a place of love, and not allow my spirit to change. So I've really kind of been working through that with my therapist. That's what I've done a lot of last fall. And I think that's what really helped me to just really not fall into a depression. So going back to what I was saying about what you put into your body, making sure that you're eating well, as much freshness as you can afford, because I know that, I know food is beyond expensive. It's just insane to me how food just continues to rise, but then the quality is decreasing. I just have no words for that. But just to have as much freshness as you can. So one thing which I've really been intentional about is, going back to what I was saying about what I'm putting in my body. I love the taste of coffee, but I can't drink straight coffee because I'm already hype. My heart will be racing. I will be just having anxiety. It's this is just not my portion. So I drink decaf coffee. I found a solution where I get to enjoy coffee, but not put myself through a whole emotional breakdown. We're not doing that. So decaf is my move. I have been making so many lovely homely meals. I love to cook. I'm making a lot of soups. I'm growing up, because I come from a Jamaican background, Saturday soup, if you know about Saturday soup. So I've been making a lot of like pumpkin soup, chicken soup with dumpling and pumpkin and yam and all of that. So that was, oh my gosh, like through the winter, that was just like a much needed hug. All 4 of my grandparents have passed away. And like when I look back, I think like I was so blessed to have my paternal grandma until I was 30. I think to myself, like, that's such a blessing. You know, but sometimes the longer you have someone in your life, the more painful it is to say goodbye. So I like think about the like amazing meals that I had growing up at grandma's, and plus my like maternal grandma used to cook so good too, like just lovely Jamaican wholesome cooking. So I've been trying to recreate as much of those meals as I can, because it just makes me feel loved. It just reminds me of just the love that I had growing up. So it just helps me to like recreate that in my own life. Drinking tea and lots of water. But tea, look, I've always been a tea girl, and I'm always going to be a tea girl. So I've been enjoying trying lots of new teas. And every time that I go back to London, believe me, my suitcase is packed with teas. I do not play when it comes to my teas. So I've just been enjoying a nice cup of tea on most days. And then, so now let's talk about like the fun of self-care, because so like the things I kind of just shared were like more about health, you know, just like really prioritizing having a healthy mind and like thinking of ways that you can be intentional about keeping a healthy mind, body, and spirit. And when I think about like daily practices, I think about, the mornings journaling, or like reading my Bible, or like listening to music, or doing things that are going to enrich my spirit, or speaking daily declarations. Like these are things that really do improve my life. And I think it's important for us to really sit down and think about what is going to be my morning routine. And I actually plan on doing a video about my updated morning routine, because if you watched my freelancing day in the life, that video was such a mess in the sense that there was no routine. The first thing that I did that morning was literally jump in the shower, get out the shower, whatever, do laundry. Like that was my morning routine, because my day was just such a mess. But I'm getting it together, and I have so much to share like with that. But yeah, so back to just the whole thing about morning routines and just doing things that are going to enrich you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So now we're going to move on to some fun, because fun really looks different in the summer than it does in the winter. Like I think about summer and like the fun of going to like a rooftop with my friend and just speaking all night in the warm weather with a nice glass of wine and 15 appetizers. Like that's something that I do with some of my friends sometimes. But I think about like those are not things that I was doing in the winter, because no one is trying to freeze to death. So like for an example, but some of the fun things that I did continue in the winter was like facials. I love taking care of my skin, and you don't even have to like actually like go out and book a facial, even though I did that too. But home facials, literally like going down to Target, getting yourself some stuff for your skin, and just taking care of your skin. And then next, taking care of your body. I'm going for walks, gym, massages. I love a good massage to just take out all of those knots in my shoulders. I treated myself to a Peloton. That was my Christmas present to myself. So I have really been enjoying it. My favorite instructor so far is Addie Love. I just absolutely love her vibe. I think she's amazing. So she has definitely improved my life. And I've been taking care of my hair. I feel like I need to do a whole hair video, because hair is such an interesting thing, especially for Black women. We have such an emotional tie to our hair. And I want like something that I've been really intentional about, especially as I get older, is redefining my relationship with my hair. And also I'm getting back to the place where I am enjoying doing my own hair. Because I remember in my teens, I loved doing my hair, because it was like I get to like do my own little hairstyles. I used to add my beads and do my little curls and that. And in my 20s, I despised doing my hair. I'm not going to lie. I literally despised it. But now I'm kind of like falling back in love with my hair. So that's kind of been something that has been fun for me to do. And even now, like, I'm experimenting with a bit of color. I braided my hair for the first time in some time, because I used to braid my hair a lot growing up too. And I said to myself, I don't want to spend $350 getting my hair done. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. This is going to be an act of self-care, keeping $350 in my own pocket. I'm keeping it for myself. So, and literally, I could do a whole conversation on the experiences that I have had getting my hair braided. The last time I got my hair braided, the woman literally halfway through, mid-braid, stood up and said, I need to go and pick up my children from school or something. I don't know what she was saying, but before I could even say her, she had already run out the house and left me there for 25 minutes. So for me, that was my, okay, I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore. So I did my own hair. I love it. I'm going to insert a few pictures so you can see it. But yeah, just doing those little things for myself. I've been watching my favorite TV shows. I have been loving Abbott Elementary. I love Station 19. And I actually just finished watching Unprisoned with Kerry Washington. I'm not sure if there are more episodes, but that was pretty interesting. But just kind of enjoying my favorite shows with a glass of wine or a hot cup of tea and being okay, like just binging a show here and there. Like, I'm not going to do it every day, but it's okay to just binge a show and enjoy it. I've been enjoying brunch dates with my friends and also like walks on the Beltline. I even hosted a Dare Purposeful Woman workshop at my house in December with my closest girls. It was kind of like an end of year refresh. I wanted to give us some time to just like reflect and renew and kind of just like just celebrate each other and celebrate just like how far we've come and also like what we've learned, our lessons. Like, it was such a lovely time. I really enjoyed it, and I think I'm going to make it an annual thing. So yeah, so that was really fun. And a few other things I wanted to kind of just like end with is I have really been intentional about not spending a lot of time on social media, and this has really been something that has been in the works for years. To the point that now, like, I really don't have social media on my phone apart from YouTube. But I mean, I have a YouTube channel, so yeah. But like, I really enjoy YouTube. Like, that's probably the only platform which I like would say that like has really been consistent in my life. TikTok is fun too, but sometimes it can just be a drag, so I just can't be bothered. But really just protecting my mind, especially during seasons where I'm shedding, so I don't pick up anything or consume anything that is really going to distort my true idea of success. I don't want the energy of Instagram to tell me I should be doing this or I shouldn't be doing that. I want to sit with myself and I want to really take the time to get to know where I am before I allow anyone else to speak into my season. So that's something that I'm really intentional about. And I even will say, just being intentional about who I listen to, like when I'm on YouTube and things like that. No, like you even tuning in to just kind of spend some time with me right now. Like, know that I don't take that for granted because I know how precious our time is, and I really hope that you do take something away from this conversation, but more so I really hope that it's a seed that encourages you to look deeper within yourself and think, what do you need? How can you evolve? What matters to you in this season? Like, it isn't just about me telling you, hey, that you should do this, you should try this. These are things that have worked for me, and I hope that it gives you some inspiration, but also you at the end of the day have to do what's best for you. But I just really wanted to encourage you to know that if you do struggle with seasonal depression, that you are not alone and that it's something that you can definitely work through. You don't just have to fall deeper and deeper. So another thing I've been doing, doctor's appointments. I had to get my pap smear. So I'm really doing my best when it comes to self-advocacy. I had to get a new doctor because my other doctor she just was not doing much. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to advocate for myself. I don't have to keep the same doctor. And I have the most amazing gynecologist now. And now I'm looking for a new, just like, family doctor as well for just like my yearly checkups as well. So another thing that like has always transformed my life for the better is writing. I used to host writing workshops called Write Your Way Through It. I say used to because right now they're on pause, and I do plan on doing some more workshops down the line. But I think right now I'm kind of in my own workshop. I'm kind of just taking some time to just live and enjoy. Like, I think that's what I'm workshopping right now. Like, I'm workshopping just living life. So I will definitely get back to doing those writing workshops in time. And then last but not least, just spending more time with God. I think I'm in a season of really redefining my faith in the sense of, I've been listening to Jonathan McReynolds' new album, and on one of his songs, I can't remember what it's called, but I will put it on the screen. But he basically talks about climbing down the tree of his faith and getting back to the roots. I think I'm getting back to the roots of my faith. And I'm just really seeking God to just help me in this season to really truly understand what it means to be a woman of God. What does it actually mean to be a Christ follower? Like, I'm redefining that for myself, and I'm doing it from a space of just really wanting to be as obedient as I can in this season. If you didn't know, I'm an author, and my first book is called Dare Purposeful Woman, Courageous Words for You and Me. And I talk a lot about my faith, and I talk a lot about just like some of the struggles that we can have when it comes to walking out our faith. Very raw and just very honest. I know that's like a little shameless plug, but I had to share that. If you're in the market for a book that talks about courageous living and faith and purpose and all that, definitely check out my book. But yeah, I really just want to always stay connected to God, because I feel like the more I am connected to God, the more I am connected to myself. So in conclusion, well, first of all, this was lovely. I feel as if, like, all the time I was stressing about this, like, conversation of, like, me trying to record it. I should have just probably done this all along, because I'm out here with my water. I'm drinking my water. I also have some red wine, and I'm going to edit this video tonight so that I can have it live for Monday morning. But in conclusion, slow and steady wins the race. Start with one question and continue with one step. What do I need to thrive is a simple question that stirs up so much inside of us. It requires honesty, vulnerability, and action. So really just thinking about that. What do you need to thrive in this season? So even though we are on our way to the more warmer months, it doesn't mean that you might not experience some down days. So just always asking yourself, like, what do I need right now? And being intentional about taking that first step. And the next thing I will say is, if you feel like you are in a hole, it is not too late to start climbing out. It has taken me years to get to this point where I have acknowledged the inner tools I have to self-soothe when needed, inviting God to lead me and to seek professional help when needed too. I think that sometimes we can feel hopeless and we can feel as if nothing's going to change and we're always going to have these emotional, mental, and spiritual struggles. But you know, I think we have to sometimes be a little bit kinder to ourselves and not so hard on ourselves, and just doing that one little thing bit by bit, and also not beating ourselves up when we try something and it doesn't work. Everything we try is not going to magically bring us into the best space of our life. What's going to happen is it's us continuously doing the same things over and over again, and that's when we will start to see changes. Like, for example, me making breakfast every day has literally just transformed my life from the perspective of me knowing that every morning I should have a lovely meal that is going to give me the strength that I need to have an intentional day. I want to start my day with strength, right? So just little things like that. But yeah, this was really, this was really nice. This was really, really nice. I would love to know, what are some of the things that you do to ease seasonal depression? Just simply sharing, how are you keeping yourself elevated? What are you doing to just literally stay above water when things are getting hard? Because we are all going to experience difficulties, but the thing is, we all are going to also respond differently. So just kind of sharing maybe some of your response tools to some of the difficult seasons that you may have. I would love to hear what you have to say. So definitely give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this conversation. I'm Shandice. I am here to shine my light and to remind you of yours. So I will see you in my next one. Have a wonderful rest of the week. And yeah, see ya.